The Laws of Life with Blanca Greenstein. I'm your host, Blanca. This is a platform specifically designed to help us all improve and be successful in life and in business. To learn from each other the laws of life, whomever we meet during our journey. I hope you find this connection beneficial and have a wonderful day. Good morning. Welcome to another edition of The Laws of Life. I'm your host, Blanca Greenstein, and today I have a really wonderful guest I'm really excited about, Molly Murphy, the Executive Director of Equine Assisted Therapies of South Florida.
Yes, that's correct.
All right. And thank you for being with us today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me. Really appreciate it as well.
No problem. So tell our audience, how did we meet?
We met a couple weeks ago at the Florence Fuller Men with Caring Hearts Award Luncheon, which was fantastic. It's an award luncheon basically to honor men in Palm Beach County and Broward County as well for all of their good work with nonprofits and in the community.
And one of the things I really liked about that event, and also shout out to my friend Gail Wexler for inviting me to that event, because if Gail wouldn't have invited me, I wouldn't have met you. One of the things I really liked about that event is that every table had the name of a different, organization that was there. So you were at the next table, and I saw Equine, and being the mother of an equestrian, I was immediately interested, wanted to talk to you.
Yes.
But you were also very welcoming when I went over there. You had a lot of positive energy at your table.
Good.
And then you had a young man, part of your group, he won an award. Tell us about that.
Yes, we actually had two nominees for this year's Men with Caring Hearts. We had one of our board members, Keith Marcassani, nominated for the Male with Caring Heart. And then we had one of our young volunteers, Tristan, nominated for the Youth and Philanthropy Award. And he's a volunteer that comes out weekly, and Keith is a board member that is so entrenched in our mission. So we really wanted, it's such a great way to recognize, these men that just dedicate their time to their community.
So how old is your youth volunteer, Tristan?
He's a teenager.
Okay.
Yep.
And what does he do? What opportunities as a teen does he have to work there? Yeah,
our volunteers, first of all, are our lifeblood. We couldn't do what we do without them. So someone like Tristan, and Tristan comes every Friday, so I'll see him this afternoon. So he gets a major shout out today. He leads a horsing class. Tristan is also an accomplished equestrian, so he understands horse language and behavior, if you will. So he can preempt maybe some horse behavior that might not benefit the therapy session. He also helps in the barn. He grooms horses. But every volunteer starts out as a sidewalker, and that's support to our riders, and Tristan's education has grown from there.
So tell us, what is the key mission and purpose of Equine Assisted Therapies of South Florida?
Sure. So we're dedicated to providing therapeutic riding and equine activities to children and adults with special needs. And the whole purpose is so that they may improve physically, mentally, and emotionally.
So how many horses, what are the facilities that your nonprofit has in order to effectuate that?
Right. We sit on 5 1/4 acre in Broward County Parks and Tradewinds. So if anyone has driven on Sample, we're right across from Butterfly World.
Okay.
And we currently have a 12-stall barn. Every stall is full, so we have 12 horses. 10 are currently serving in our program. And we serve about, I would say, a little over 90 students right now. We're closing our spring session and rolling right into summer and summer camp.
Nice.
And the deadline for applications is June 4th. So if anybody out there is interested in an equestrian all-ability summer camp, please.
That's amazing.
Let
and
us
that's
know.
for open, anyone in the public can go to this camp? Are there any special requirements?
They have to be age 7. For those individuals with special needs, they have to be able to feed themselves and use the restroom facilities by themselves as well. But please give us a call, and we can talk about all of the application processes over the phone as well.
What's the best number to reach you?
954-974-2007.
So let's hear about your personal story. So tell us what attracted you to this nonprofit.
Well, it's long. But I've been involved with this nonprofit since I was 7 years old. I actually started out as a participant. So I have spastic cerebral palsy. That's a physical disability. And to explain it to the layman, basically what's going on inside of my body. And again, this is just one story. There are so many of these out there. But what's going on inside of my body basically is my muscles are like a rubber band stretched really, really tight. all the time. So imagine, you know, when you pluck a rubber band, it makes noise, it vibrates. That's what's happening inside. So it's exhausting just to get from, you know, point A to point B sometimes. And when I was growing up and developing, I was in a lot of different types of therapies. And this, unbeknownst to me, happened to be one of the therapies, but I was a crazy horse girl. So it was a mask.
You were saying your parents sort of brought it to you in a positive way and didn't even associate expressly the medical benefits.
I was tricked, as I said. You were tricked. Pulled over
but it worked. So how old were you when you started riding? 7?
Absolutely. I was 7 years old. So the way that therapeutic riding and riding a horse works is the horse moves in a 3-dimensional motion. So for someone like me who doesn't move in a typical manner, my pelvis can move anywhere from 2,000 to 2,500 times during a lesson. And so I'm getting that muscle memory and that muscle input that I don't normally receive, which is really, really cool, really important. And it's also something that can't necessarily be achieved in a typical clinical setting. So it's
plus you're outside in nature. I'm sure the environmental elements are wonderful too.
I'm not in a hospital. I'm not cooped up, you know, on a mat, which is typical. I'm talking to my peers, which you might, you know, be my volunteer and you're asking me about my day, which, you know, I might be at school and nobody asks me anything. And so now I come to a place where people treat me as if I'm, you know, just like them, which is all everybody really wants.
So this program had a tremendous impact on your life.
Yes.
So how did it affect you from a confidence point of view? How do you think it changed your life?
I think that it gave me the confidence to try. My law of life is carpe diem. So seize the day. I took Latin in high school, so the precursor to that would be carpe noctem, seize the night too. But seize the day, seize every opportunity. And so for me, it helped me develop the confidence to just go out there and give it a go. Because not everybody has the confidence to steer or work with an animal like a horse that is so incredibly powerful and graceful and beautiful. And it just gives you a chance to be connected to a being and really work one-on-one with something.
That's incredible. Did you start off with private, group? Did you do both as a child?
I did both. I did all of the things. So we run 4 types of programs out of our facility: therapeutic riding, hippotherapy, which are both mounted, and then 2 unmounted programs: equine facilitated learning and equine facilitated psychotherapy.
So there's programs where they're not even riding, but they get to be around the animal.
Yes.
And they get to brush it and braid the tail
and learn what it takes to take care of these animals. We are currently developing a program surrounding workforce development, so we're in the throes of really creating that program.
Are you really? That's interesting. So you're going to help people with disabilities build job opportunities by giving them the training.
Correct.
I think that is a tremendous idea. That's amazing.
Thank
when did you start that?
We just did. So
Congratulations.
Thank you. So we're in the creative stages, and thank you to all of our collaborative partners who we've spoken to just a little bit. We'll be reaching back out to them this summer because we're going to be doing a lot of planning and preparing for fall.
So at some point you might even be able to find some of them internships that could lead to paying jobs.
That is our ultimate goal. We're of course we're not there yet, but that is what we would like to do.
And are you currently always looking for volunteers at all ages?
Oh my gosh, always looking for volunteers. Volunteers have to be 14 years old or older to start. If you're under the age of 14, don't worry, you just have to volunteer with a parent or guardian. And everybody comes to an orientation, and the first training you'll receive is called intro training or sidewalker training, and we'll go over everything that you need to know.
So, your middle school students, high school students, get your community service hours. It's an amazing way to do that. I mean, really, there's no age limit to being a volunteer either?
There's no age limit. We have volunteers of all ages helping us out at every hour. So as I mentioned, volunteers being the lifeblood. I mean, talk about a group of people who really, carpe diem, seizing the day, coming out and giving of their time that, we're all busy people, and yet we have such a wonderful stable of volunteers that come out and give, 2 hours every single week to a horse, to a student, to the barn, and we can't thank them enough.
So take us a little further through the story. So you started riding at 7, and then what happened later after, through high school? in college or?
Well, throughout the course of my experience, I was doing other types of therapies, as I mentioned, and I was also receiving surgical interventions as well. So during the time, I would take some time off to have those performed. And actually, as a result of riding, I was told that one of the surgical interventions wasn't needed. So
Wow.
for our parents out there, I mean, that's a tremendous relief, right? When your child is, having X amount of surgeries and just one procedure isn't needed. I mean, my gosh, what a relief. So, I think back to that time in my life and the decisions my parents had to make, and I, can't imagine doing that at this stage of my life now, but that's what they were doing. So I think for me, the riding aspect and my peers really it gave me a place to call home, really. And that's the case for a lot of our team members who are currently on the staff, for our board members who are parents, for our volunteers who, we've been talking about how amazing and how, you see the benefits every day.
Sure. So clearly you took this into your professional life, and how long have you been executive director?
For about 1.5 years.
And what's your number one law of life on being the director of a nonprofit?
Well, carpe diem, of course, but I, really want to take the equine assisted therapies of South Florida mission to the next level and really get our systems in place and get everybody to understand how important our services in this type of therapy is. And we're not the only one. There are several centers around the state of Florida. So if we're outside of someone's radius, contact us and we can put you in touch with the International Association.
Oh, that's wonderful. I love that collaboration.
Mm-hmm.
That's fantastic. Well, maybe one of these days we'll have to come and take a tour of your barn.
Come
check out that 5.5 acre facility and see the horses.
We would love that.
So maybe we'll take you guys there on a field trip. But Molly Murphy, thank you so much for being with us and sharing your personal story. It's really inspiring what you've overcome, and it's amazing what you're doing. So I hope everybody has a fantastic Memorial Day weekend. I hope you learned something on this episode. And have a wonderful weekend, everyone. Thanks for watching. I hope you learned something today. I know I did. Thank you for watching The Laws of Life with Blanca Green Sky. And stay in touch and stay connected. Be well.